What's up, Third Gear Grind here today doing a video. Today I decided that I was gonna go all the way to Whistler to buy another Mark IV. So I'm gonna film the process. Take you along the way, see if anything goes wrong. Here he comes. Are you ready? Ready to do a brake job on a Mark IV Jetta? Copyrighted music.
Are you going to use this audio for any reason?
I might, probably not. Maybe at low volume.
Your fucking nose, bro.
I know. Alright guys, we're here at Destination Mark IV, Vr6. I'm gonna show you my new pile of shit. So, we bought the car and we're doing the brakes in the parking lot because supposedly that's all it needs. Of course, that's never all it needs. It does have a bad tie rod on this side. And I'm sure there's some other things that we'll discover on the drive. Okay. But this is the worst of it right here. As you can see, this wheel. Oh my goodness, look at all of this dust.
Hope everyone's up to date on their 10-minute shots, dude.
Oh yeah. Dude, it's like welded to the rotor. There's nothing left on this. Ooh, that piston. Oh, is there no pad on the inside? There is half a pad in here, dude. Oh. That's nuts.
Think it still reads?
Oh, that wasn't even the actual sensor, dude. Look, that's metal. She's good. What's up, Third Gear Grind here today. I got a little more than I bargained for on this 2003 Jetta GLI. This is one of those cars where the seller is just like, oh, it just needs brakes. But of course, it needed a hell of a lot more than just brakes. So now I'm gonna turn my misery into a YouTube video for you guys. I picked this thing up for $1,000. And what did we get? We got a sagging headliner. We got a leaking power steering rack. A bad wheel bearing. A bad head gasket. A broken spring. Valve cover gasket was leaking pretty bad, so we've got a replacement for that. Drove all the way to Whistler for this thing. And as a result of all the Whistler winters, we've got rust here, rust here, rust here, nothing a little spray paint can't fix. So back to the topic, I'm going to do a video on what I'm doing to the front end of this vehicle to refresh all the components to make it drive like a new car, even though it's 25 years old. Obviously, another component in the front end is your damper, so if your damper's original, on your Mark IV, it's probably screwed, depending on your mileage, I suppose. But basically, when you push this down, it should come back on its own because it's pressurized with gas. And as you can see, I'm gonna have to pull this one back up to get it up there. It goes down pretty easy, does not come back up. This is no good. We're gonna start top down with the upper strut mount bushings and bearings. So behind the upper strut mount bushings is also a bearing, and it looks like this. So if you're ever cranking your steering lock to lock and you hear your spring binding, it's most likely because the bearings inside of this have seized solid. So when you turn, the entire spring goes with it. You can see the difference in height, new bushing versus old bushing. Now this will eventually happen to this one again. If you don't want that to happen again, then get the Seat Cupra R bushings. They are factory harder durometer rubber. There we go, all installed. Ready to go on? Join me and my friends as we collectively jump on a Mark IV power steering rack. Concentrate your weight.
I don't have that much weight.
Yeah, but the weight that you do have, just put it all on.
Why is this so much harder than yesterday?
I don't know. Did it work?
You tell me.
Ah, hell yeah. All right, so we got two tie rods here. We got to remember which side's which because we're going to line them up with the new ones to adjust them to approximately the right length so that it's not totally screwed before we send it out to alignment.
What do you got there, Jordan?
Are you recording?
Yes.
Oh, let's try that again. We got the new tie rods here. We're gonna throw them on. Take this bowl and put the sheathing on. Going in.
Cries are glizzy tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Right. Here we go. One shot. Wait. Okay. Let's.
Yo, Jordan. You want lunch tomorrow? Pull up the cries for a glizzy, dude.
Glizzy.
Yeah, dude, they got glizzies on deck.
Bounce in the bouncy castle.
What is that?
BMW.
And just like that, we got our tie rods installed.
Yep.
So of course the next item down would be the wheel bearing, as well as sometimes you've got, oh, what am I even saying? So another component in rebuilding your front end would be your wheel bearing and your hub. So I've already gone ahead and replaced this one, but this is what a brand new wheel bearing looks like for these cars. You have to press it in. Back here, you've got your tie rod that goes here. You've got your ball joint down here and your wheel speed sensor here. These are a pain in the ass to get out if you ever need to replace it. It's a good idea to do it if you're doing a wheel bearing. That way you can access it by slapping it out through the front, punch it out with a socket or an extension. Now if your MK4 makes a bunch of noises when you hit speed bumps, mostly squeaking, it's going to be this bushing right here on the subframe that holds the sway bar on. This is what a brand new sway bar bushing looks like, and we're going to install it. One trick I like to use is to use a longer 13 mil bolt to actually clamp and install this, and then I take the longer bolt out and replace it with the one that was in there before to help install it. Typically when you have a bad ball joint on these cars, when you hit bumps you'll hear some sort of metal squeaking, and also you'll have a lot of play in the wheel, particularly the up and down motion. If you have a bad tie rod, then if you do the side to side check, you will also feel play there. All right, so control arm bushing. So obviously visual inspection here, you can see we have some cracking, but I've seen far worse than this. If your wheel moves back and forth in the wheel well, when you brake, then you know that this rear control arm bushing is really bad. Now on the other hand, there is also a front one that goes bad sometimes. What will happen is the metal pin inside of this bushing where the bolt goes through will separate from the actual rubber, and what will happen is when you go to accelerate, the car will veer to one side. It's like I got really lucky on this car. Neither the inner or outer on this drive shaft or the passenger side drive shaft are split on the boots, so I've got no leaking grease, which is great. All right, so here is all of the bad parts that came off this car. Excluding the brakes, we had a sagging headliner, so that has been replaced. We have some pretty nasty looking ignition coils. The trunk release motor had failed and was also missing a piece to actually unlatch the trunk. Got a bad wheel bearing here, destroyed sway bar bushings, got a broken spring. We had a bad head gasket. Now the head gasket itself wasn't bad, it was the cylinder head that wore. We had the power steering rack fail, leaking catastrophically from one side, and we also had bad tie rods that had play in them. It could have been worse as well. Luckily someone replaced the thermostat housing already, as well as the crack pipe. And on the other side, the wheel bearing has been done, as well as both the ball joints, so we should be good to go. I just wanted a 24 valve VR again, and I wanted it to be a potential flip, but I was very upside down on it. That car also had more issues that I even said on camera. Of course, the sunroof drains were messed up. You seen in one of the clips, the turn signals were stuck on, so I had mega CCM problems on that car, and turn signals and whatnot. Once the front end was all rebuilt, the head gasket was finished. It was driving a lot better. However, it turned out that two of the wheels were actually bent. The barrels were physically bent. Originally, I thought that the rough winters in Whistler had knocked some of the wheel weights off the wheels, but turns out the actual wheels were bent. That was a cause of a pretty bad vibration at highway speed. So Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video helped you with your own Mark IVs and opens your eyes to common issues. Yeah.